Matthew chapter 11 and verse 6. And it reads, and blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me. First off, when he give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachakodash. Double honors unto the apostles, the great millstone that teach and rule well, and as always, peace and salutations to the elect. This is Brother Benaiah from the Great Millstone Dallas branch, coming back at you with a quick lesson. And this is going to be a response to the Elder Yasharuma's video that he did. As you can see, the title, concerning ancient customs, it's time for you Israelites to grow up. All right. And in this video, he's going into the ancient customs of the marriageable age in ancient Israel. All right. And when topics like this are brought up, the age, that a woman can be married off, the whole grape situation, when situations like this are brought up and we go into the scriptures and we pull out the ancient customs, we pull out precepts to back it up, a lot of these Israelite camps are offended. All right, just as the elder Yashawamba has said in his video, we've been raised in Babylon the Great. All right, we've been separated from that ancient way for so long that now we're, the spirit has been put back in us, and we're coming back unto the ancient ways of the East. And it seems to the mass majority of our people as taboo. You know what I'm saying? The West looks at the ancient customs of our nation. You see, not only Israel, like the elder Yashua said, but the customs of the East period. A lot of ancient cultures, all right, practice that same custom as concerning, when a girl, all right, has reached the age that she can be married off. You see, so it's not only the Israelites, man, but when these ancient ways are brought up, a lot of our people are offended. You see, and that's why I wanted to start with Matthew chapter 11 and verse 6, which reads again, it says, and blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me, because at the end of the day, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, he comes in the volume of the book. All right. So I have a couple of things that I want to get into, a couple of articles to prove my point. And this whole video was based off a nigga who left a comment on the elder's page, saying that he looked up the customs, and everything. He didn't find anything where it said that, that the marriageable age of a girl was 12, when she hit puberty, basically saying that we're liars and all this other shit, when clearly, nigga, you didn't do any research, but that's our people though, they take the ways of Esau, as the scriptures say, when the rich man speaketh, our people, real quick, I'm gonna grab that Salakia. And then I'm going to go into these couple of articles that I have, that I want to touch on. The Lord willing, this lesson is edifying, but I want to give this real quick. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 13 and verse 23. It says, when a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue, and look what he saith. They extol it to the clouds. Right. So everything, this whole westernized mindset of what marriage is, and, our people look at it as that's the way it's supposed to be. And when these ancient, customs, of marriage are brought up of the East of our forefathers, when the situations are, grape gets brought up, people get squeamish. A lot of these Israelite camps, they shrivel up and they want to avoid the topic. You know what I'm saying? Which you don't supposed to be ashamed, man. Real quick, let me grab one more. I'm gonna go back to this. Sirach. This is Mark chapter 8. All right, in verse 38, it says, whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed when he cometh in the glory of his Father with the holy angels. Right. And a lot of these Israelite camps who claim to be man of the Lord, if you're a man of the Lord, then you're supposed to be able to go into the scriptures. You shouldn't be ashamed of your customs, man. Because at the end of the day, this is our way. This is what's going to be established in the kingdom of heaven, man. You see these ways that we're going into now. Are we telling brothers to go do these things now? Are we telling brothers to go out and get a girl when she hits puberty, when she first hits puberty? No, that wouldn't be wise. You see, we're not telling brothers that. We're not telling brothers to go out and grape women, man. No, you see. But yet you have Israelites and you have niggas who want to put compilation videos together and try to, mix our words up, not truly listening, You know what I'm saying? To what the apostles are saying, to what brothers are saying, you see, concerning these things. Okay. But let's get this. I want to grab this real quick. Let's go back to the Sirach chapter 13. Sirach 13 and 23. It says, when a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue, and look what he saith. They extol it to the clouds. You see, because like I said, man, our people think the ways of Esau is the way that the world is supposed to be. This is set in stone. They get offended when the ways of Yahweh Shem Shah are brought up, when the customs that Yahweh Shem Shah gave unto our people, they get offended. You see, it says, it says, but if the poor man speak, and who is the poor man? Us, all right, the Israelites. But ultimately, in this situation, the prophets. It says, and they say, what fellow is this? And if he stumble, they will help to overthrow him. Right. You see? So our people, they try to put, like I said, they try to put these compilation videos together. You have Polite, all these niggas who wants to accuse us of doing these particular acts, who's bearing false witness. These are the nigga that's in jail for the same shit that they tried to accuse us of, man. You see? So you see how that works, man? You see how the judgment of Yahweh Shem Shah goes out because these dudes are bearing false witness. All right. But nonetheless, let's get into this. I have a couple of things that I want to pull up real quick. And I just basically asked Google, does the Western society look at the marriageable age of ancient Israel culture as taboo? And as you can see, the AI overview says, yes, modern Western society overwhelmingly views the marriageable age in ancient Israel culture as taboo. It says in ancient Israel, in border ancient Near Eastern society, showing you that it was not only Israel, okay, but that was the way of the East, okay, period. It says girls were commonly married around the age of puberty, often between 12 and 14, and sometimes even younger for betrothal. Right. You see, because you can have a man who has a daughter who hasn't yet hit puberty yet. You see, and he can arrange a betrothal unto that man or to that man's son. You see, and then when she reached, the age of a flower, you see, meaning she hits puberty, then she's able to be married off. Now that man can take that, she can take it in, or he can wait longer if he wants. It's really up to him. You see, but according to Yahweh Shem Shah and these customs, this was the age that a woman, was considered to be a woman. You see, because that puberty was a sign that she's ready to bring forth children. You see, this whole marriage customs of how the Western society looks at marriage is totally contrary to the ways of Yahweh Shem Shah, which you're going to see in these articles when I bring it up. It's going to explain. All right, but let's keep going. It says these were typically arranged marriages negotiated by the girl's fathers, and the girl often had no say so in the matter. Right. You see, because in the Western society, women have all the say so. You see, they get to choose. And clearly, we kind of went into that last night at camp, how women, these women need to be ruled over. They need to have, the father over them. They need to have, until they're married off to another man. And then that man, will be over her. You see, because clearly these women can't make rational decisions. You see, they can't make choice and sound decisions, man. Because here it is, you have a woman, with 5 and 6 kids by 4 different niggas, man. And then still single. You see? Still out here, and that shows you they're irresponsible. They're not rational. They can't make rational decisions, man. You see? But let's keep going. I'm going to jump down. So I'm going to keep going. Matter of fact, let's keep going. It says, while consummation might have waited until puberty, right? You see, because she had to, hit puberty to show forward that she's ready to bear children. OK, it says the betrothal itself was a legally binding contract akin to being married that acquired a formal divorce to terminate. All right. But this is the point. It says, let me see. I'm going to go down. It says modern Western society generally considered marriage involving individuals under the age of 18, the legal age of majority. It says to be child marriage. It says which is widely condemned as a human rights violation, is illegal in most cases. All right, so let's jump down just to the point. It says the significant difference in age, the lack of agency for the individual being married, and the different views of childhood and women's status created a stark contrast with contemporary Western values, making the ancient practice widely seen as unacceptable by modern standards. Right? You see, and these will be the same people, all right, that say, "Oh yeah, I believe in God, I believe in the God of the Bible. I love God." Even amongst these Israelite camps, man. You see, even amongst these Israelite camps, man. But when the customs, all right, when the question arise, you know what I'm saying, and you who's supposed to be a man of the Lord, who's supposed to know this Bible, who's supposed to study and go into the customs, you know what I'm saying? When you bring forth the information of how the scriptures and what the ways of Yahweh Shem and Hawashah were, our people get offended. You see? Because they're in the West, they're conformed into this Western society. They're conformed unto the ways of Esau. Therefore, looking at the ancient custom ways of our forefathers, it's looked at as taboo, man. All right, so let's grab a couple. I have a couple of articles that I want to get into. All right, just to prove my point about that marriageable age. And like I said, it wasn't just ancient Israel. It wasn't just Israel by itself, man. You see? Let me see. Because I know I had, man, come on, bro. I had something pulled up on Chat GPT too. That's just Satan. Let's see real quick. Let me see if it pulls up. Okay, here we go. Yep, good. All right, so I'm gonna go into this Chat GPT, and then I'm gonna grab a couple of these articles real quick. So let's get into matter of fact, we'll start with this Bible Odyssey. All right, so this is from BibleOdyssey.org, as you can see. All right, it says wedding. I'm just gonna grab a little information. It says wedding and marriage traditions in ancient Israel. Marriage in ancient Israel involved practices and assumptions different from those of most people living in Western societies today. You see, showing you there's a difference. You see, and when our people read the Bible, they read it with a Western mindset. You see, thinking that, oh, okay, the Western way is supposed to be, and that's why they get offended when these customs are brought up. But nevertheless, it says marriage in ancient Israel was very different from the marriage today. Although there are a great deal we don't know about the Israelite marriage, the biblical text that speaks about it tells us that many Israelite marriage customs were unlike those of modern Western society. It says, first, although girls were expected to be virgins when they got married, and according to Deuteronomy 22 and 21, could even be put to death if they were found not to be, men were allowed to marry multiple women. And that's another topic that, our people get offended at. A man having more than one woman. You see, it says it is hard to know how common polygamy, which entitled a husband being married to more than one woman, really was in ancient Israel. Also, the evidence suggests that compared to women, man had more control over whom they married. For example, Samson chose his own wife in Judges 14, even though his parents disapproved of the match. But now we're coming into the part right here. It says most likely, this is the point, most likely girls were married around puberty, whereas men were somewhat older. Though unions were generally based more on economic and social considerations than romantic ones. You see? So that lets you know. So like it just said, girls were married around puberty. And like I showed you on the AI overview, it said what? The puberty is around what, 12 to 14. You see? Showing you that she's ready to bring forth children, to bear children. You see, that's what makes a girl a woman according to the scriptures. When she hits puberty, when she hits the flower of her age, man. All right. But like it says, though unions were generally based more on economic and social considerations, you see, so it was more of a building of economic aspect. It was more of building an inheritance. Rather than this what we see with the Western marriage. Oh, it's about love. I just gotta love everything. Love. This whole fucking shit is love. No. You see, it says it was of social considerations than romantic ones. Some texts include the Songs of Songs, shows us that ideas of passion and sexual love were also present in ancient Israel, which that was a part of it. It could, it comes, with a man and a woman being together. All right, it says, let me see if it's a little bit more on this. There's family in society throughout the world and is not considered a sale price. Relation between man and woman. Okay, I think this is pretty much on this one. Strong cousins. Okay, so let's go to the next one. All right, so let's get this let's get this on gotquestions.org. So as you can see, it says, does the Bible what does the Bible say does the Bible say what is the proper age of marriage? So it says the Bible does not specify any particular age requirements for a person to be married, whether it speaks in general terms of marriage between being for those who are grown up. See Ruth chapter 1, verse 12 through 13. It says both the language and culture of the Bible strongly supports the idea that puberty, at bare minimum is the condition that must be met before becoming someone's spouse. This fits with one of the historical purposes of marriage, conceiving and rearing children. You see? So puberty was a sign that a woman was ready for marriage, man, to be with a man and bring forth children. You see? It says scriptural evidence indicates that those too young for childbearing are not candidates for marriage. Right. You see? Though there is no explicit age given in the Bible. So if a girl has not reached her flower of her age, then she can't be married off, man. You see? It has to be when she hits puberty, man. She starts to get her cycle. Then that's a sign to show that now she's a woman. She's ready to bring forth and rear children. You see, now she's ready to be married off. All right, it says, I'm gonna keep going because it's gonna go into it. It says it is reasonable to look at the practices of ancient Judaism for cultural consideration of the proper age of marriage. According to traditions, boys were not considered men and therefore not marriageable until the age of 13. Right. It says girls were not considered women until age 12. These ages more or less corresponded to the onset of puberty. While those ages might seem too young to us, they are not unusual ages for getting married historically. You see? This is not something strange. It's strange because now this goddamn devil's in rulership. And he done switched up every goddamn thing. And now you think that, you know what I'm saying, a woman has to wait, which it's gonna break down. That she has to wait until she's 18 and older. You know what I'm saying? He fucked up, but you ran through now. You see? And like the elder, like brothers always go into, man, when we was in high school, we seen these young ass, and these are the same women who would talk down on an older man for wanting a younger woman. If you in your 30s and your 40s, you dating a 20-year-old, you got problems. You sick. But your bopping ass, you know what I'm saying, was fucking with seniors when you was in the eighth grade, ninth grade. You know what I'm saying? Grown ass man pulling up and picking your ass up, man. I seen it personally. But these are the same old, tired ass women. Oh, you sick. You know? I'm going to keep going, man. It says, these ages more or less, I think I read that part. It says, while those ages might seem too young to us, they are not unusual ages for getting married historically. It has only been within the last century or so that the average age of getting married has drafted into the late 20s and early 30s. Right. You see, it is very important to recall that maturity, often used as a benchmark for allowing sexuality in marriage, is highly cultural. In modern Western countries, people are not generally expected to be self-sufficient until they are nearly in their 20s or even later. Right. You see, because the ways of this society is different, is totally contrary to the ways of the ancient society. During the ancient society, a young boy was taught to be a man. He was groomed up to be a man. A girl was groomed up to be a woman. She had duty. She was taught by her mother, damn, what is that? coming to America. You know what I'm saying? That opening scene when that chick was was gonna marry Eddie. You know, what did she say? She said, "From a child, I was raised up to serve you," and that's exactly how it was in our culture, man. The woman was trained up how to be a wife. You see her womanly duties, and when she reached that age, she was mature enough to handle that position. You see, versus over here in these times, a woman is you got 20 and 30 years old still don't know how to fuck to treat a man. You know, they still don't know how to be women, man, and they in they goddamn 30s, man. You see, showing that this did I cut it was different, man. You see, I'm gonna read that again. It said it is also important to recall that maturity, often used as a benchmark for allowing sexuality in marriage, is highly cultural. In modern Western countries, people are generally expected to be self-sufficient until are not it's like it are not generally expected to be self-sufficient until they are nearly in their 20s or even later. For most of human history, however, people were expected to grow up much sooner. You see, the age of getting married was normally young, as everyone was expected to mature socially and emotionally more quicker than today. Boom, there you have it. You see, because the man was taught up from a child. He had the he wanted the father. Hey, you do this. He had particular jobs. He was trained up, and they were more mature in their roles and their positions as a man, as their position as a woman, because they were trained up for that. You see. Let me see if it's some more to this, man. And then it goes on to Ezekiel 16. It says the Hebrew language also supports the idea that puberty is a requirement for a legitimate marriage, right? You see, that's a requirement. Ezekiel 16 contains a metaphor for God's relationship to Israel. In this passage, God cares for Israel, pictured as an orphan girl in various stages of development. The Lord first sees her birth, then watches her grow up. You grew up and developed and entered puberty. Your breasts had formed and your hair had grown. Later I passed by, and when I looked at you, I saw that you were old enough to love. I spread the corner of my garment over you. Verses 7 and 8. This is an illustration. It's only after the girl arrives at physical maturity, sometime after, not during puberty, when she is old enough to love, that she is ready for marriage. Other translations say the girl grew tall and came to age, the NET, and often grew up, matured, and became a young woman. Right. And we know that was when the Lord basically took when we grew up, during the time of Egypt, and the Lord made the covenant with us, man. Now we grew up, we fully developed, right? And the Lord made that covenant with us, man. You see? So this shows you, man. It says, let me see if it's a little bit more. It says Hebrew as English uses different words for younger and older members of each sex. Nahar refers to young man, and Yeled refers to boys ages 12 or younger. It says for female, Narah means a marriageable woman, while Yalai refers to a girl. Yalda refers to a girl 11 or younger, too young for marriage. Once again, these words in definition seems to enforce the idea that the onset of puberty is a requirement for marriage. Before that time, a boy or a girl is not an age to be married. So there you have it, man. You see, and these are customs that this information is easily to be looked up. All right, everybody is walking around with a smartphone, but ain't nobody smart. So let's go to this Chat GPT, and I'm gonna end it off. It says, so I asked Chat GPT, marital age in ancient Israel in the marriage custom versus the Western standard. It says that's a great question. It opens up some deep historical culture and deep in biblical context. Let's break it down carefully. So it says marriageable. I'm gonna jump through this. All right. It says marriageable age in ancient Israel. In ancient Israel society, marriage customs was shaped by family, tribal, and covenantal priorities, not by modern Western ideas of romance and adulthood. The goal was to preserve lineage and land inheritance in covenant identity. It says age of marriage for girls typically between 12 and 14 years old, around the time of puberty. This is based on biblical context and ancient Near Eastern practices. Examples: Mary, the mother of Yahushua, according to the Jewish customs and historical writings, was likely in her early teens. You see, when betrothed to Joseph. All right. It says the Mashna A later Jewish text codified older translation also refers 12 as the typical age of maturity. For man, usually mid to late teens, sometimes early 20s. All right. It says men were expected to have some ability to provide, typically after learning a trade, receiving inheritance, and establishing a house. Right. You see? So even the culture, our culture, how we were raised up, because over here in Babylon the Great, we not raised. Man, no, bro. If brothers are lucky enough to have a father in the house to raise, to groom them to be man, that's but for the majority of our people, that's not so. You see, when the majority of our people are a broken household, a single parent household, which was the woman is running, so they're not taught up, and then the woman, the girls that see their mother just go from man to man, and they're not raised up to be a woman. You see, it was totally different culture back, compared to the Eastern ways, man, the ancient ways. You see. It says many sources suggest common ranges was 16 to 20. All right. It says, let me see. It goes into the ceremony, the roles. All right. So let's get it. It says Western marriage standards, modern era. The modern Western legal standard is typically 18 years old, sometimes 16 to 17 with parental consent. This reflects extended adolescence, longer education period, which they not even fucking educated. Like I said, you have women in their 30s and 40s that still act like they fucking 14, man. Individual rights and consent of law, whatever. All right, let's go to number 2. The concept, it says marriage today is seen as a mutual partnership based on love, equality, and personal choice. The Western modern is heavily influenced by Roman law. You see how we say that this place is Rome, right? By Roman law, Christian canon law, and Enlightenment ideals for individual freedoms. All right, so let's jump down. It says the Bible doesn't give a fixed age of marriage, but reflects cultural norms of the time. All right, which it says, like we read, sexual purity before marriage, responsibilities of man to provide, boom, boom, boom. So I went down, I asked ChatGPT, did other ancient civilizations like Egypt, etc., also believe in marriageable age of girl is when she starts puberty? It says, excellent, important question. This is the point. Yes, many ancient Israel civilizations, not just Israel, tied the marriageable age of girls to puberty, which was seen as a natural sign of womanhood and fertility. Let's go through the main ancient societies and how they viewed it, especially Egypt, Mesopotamia, Greece, and Rome, to show how widespread this idea was. Ancient Egypt. Marriageable age in ancient Egypt, girls were usually married soon after puberty, generally around 12 and 14 years old. Men typically married later, often in their late teens and 20s. Reasoning. Puberty was viewed as the biological sign of readiness for childbearing, and marriage was closely tied to family continuance and fertility. The marriage goals were not romantic, but the goal of marriage was not romantic love, but household formation and reproduction. You see? So the whole, even other cultures concerning marriage, it wasn't about no fucking love, man. You see? And you see, they even practiced the ancient customs of, the customs of a woman being ready for marriage is when she reached the flower of her age, man. You see, that was, like I said, it was a sign of what? Let me see. Let me go back. What did it say? Where did it say that at? Yep, it says in many ancient civilizations, not just Israel, tied the marriageable age of girls to puberty, which was seen as a natural sign of womanhood and fertility. Right. So there you have it. Ancient Egypt, and it has what? Mesopotamia. Marriageable age. Similar to Egypt and Israel, girls were betrothed shortly after puberty, around 12 to 14, and men around 18 to 20. Let's go down. Ancient Greece. It says marriageable age, commonly married between 12 and 15 years old. Man 25 to 30. Let's go down again. Ancient Rome. Marriageable age. Legally, girls could marry as early as 12 years old, boys as early as 14. You see? But when we bring these facts up, we looked at it as something. We get called names. Oh, y'all rapists. Y'all pedos. You see. But these were just the customs now of the East, man. You see. These were just the customs of the East, man. And like I said earlier, and like brothers saying, like the Elder Yashwamba said in his video, we're not telling brothers to go out and do these things, man. You see. We're not telling them that. But like the Apostle Tahar said in his video, in those clips that the niggas try to slander with, you see, these things are going to be taking place in the kingdom of heaven, man. You see? These things are going to be happening in the kingdom of heaven. When a woman reaches her age of maturity, you know, she's ready to be married, man. She's ready to bring forth and bear children. That's just a fact. It's all science. Even science backs up Yahweh Shimmy Hawashai, man. You see? But I didn't want to make this too long, man. I just wanted to touch on this, man. Lord willing, this was edifying to you brothers and sisters out there. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachak Kodash. The honors unto the apostles, the great millstone that teach and rule well. And as always, peace and salutations to the elect. Shalom.